most delightful non-riding day we've had in a really long time. I think it was just meant to be. So I really appreciate you all being here. I do need to give out a shout out to Viking Bags. Hey, my first sponsor. Yay! Thank you all again for being here. Blah Blah Motorcycle, second episode of the Chicago series. Really happy to be here. Last weekend I was in Louisville for our first extension, so I had an amazing weekend there, and I'm really looking forward to further expanding this. So thank you, home base, for really being the testing waters for this. I really appreciate you all being here. If you don't know, I'm Season. I'm the founder of Blah 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 Motorcycles and Storytelling Series. We are a merch and storytelling business, brand, what have you. But we're really here to give a place for folks who love to talk about motorcycles, or folks who have a loved one who love to talk about motorcycles. So that's our whole shtick. It's as basic as that. For those that don't know, Blah 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 Motorcycles started a couple years ago with a boyfriend who is a master motorcycle mechanic who loves talking, motorcycles, and a very specific Gary Larson comic. If you aren't familiar, it goes like this. There's two panels. The first panel is titled, What We Say to Dogs. Stay out of the garbage, Ginger. Don't touch that, Ginger. Get off the bed, Ginger. The second panel says, What do dogs hear? Blah, 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 Ginger. Blah, 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 Ginger. So I took all three of those concepts, put it together into Blah, blah, blah motorcycles. I started out very simply. 6 t-shirts were made for the family. That was it. My brother got his, our dad got his, boyfriend and I got ours, and that was it. 6 t-shirts. We wore them out to Motorcycle Monday, and I believe it was Crash who was the first one who said, hey, that's a good looking t-shirt. Where'd that t-shirt come from? I said, well, just made it for the family. Oh, I'd buy that t-shirt. And I went, holy fuck, okay. So I had a bunch more printed and started selling out of a messenger bag after I rode to Motorcycle Nights. So very simple start, and here we are, a couple years later. I will be heading to Cincinnati for a show at the beginning of February called Garage Brood. So I'm really excited to be part of that. It's a fundraiser for those that have served in the military, all ranks and sorts of things. I'm not military-esque, so I don't know all the verbiage, but it's a good fundraiser, and it's a custom bike show, so I'm really excited to get out there and see all the Cincinnati folks. And I'll also be up at Mama Tried middle of February as well, so if anyone's coming up, come stop by the booth, say hi, I'd love to see your face in the midst of all of the craziness. But it's a good time, and if you don't know about it, please check it out. It's just a fantastic time to be up in Milwaukee. The storytelling part of this started only last summer, the idea for it. The first event was in October, but it all started because I went to go support a friend at her storytelling event. And I was sitting there listening to these amazing personal tales, and it just clicked in my brain. And to be honest, I couldn't wait for the event to be over because I had a lot of planning to do. I knew I needed to make this happen. I knew this was the thing that Blah 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 Motorcycles needed to be, and I couldn't wait to get out of there. And here we are, third event, and looking to expand further this year, hoping to get down to New Orleans and maybe Arizona just this year. So we've got a lot of expansion happening. I'm really happy for it. So let's get started. So to kind of warm everybody up, I believe Henry's shouting at me, do I have a story? I have several for you. And they're not going to happen all at once. But to kind of warm things up before our first storyteller, who is Rachel, I'm going to give you a little bit of a first weather tale for myself. So about 5 years ago, I was living in Vietnam. I lived there for about 5 years with an interim year in Indonesia. So I was in Southeast Asia for a long time. And I wasn't riding a motorcycle, but I was riding motorbikes. And I mean, you have to do, you've seen pictures, you've seen videos of people doing everything on these motorbikes, right? I mean, you've got 12 people and a goat on a motorbike. You've got, 2 people and like a massive amount of, whatever on the back. So everything goes on your motorbike. And everything goes on your motorbike no matter what the weather is. And every year, there's basically two types of weather, and especially where I was living, southern Vietnam. There's hot season and there's rainy season. That's it. That's all you get. And what that meant was you always had to travel with your raincoat and your motorbike. And luckily those lovely like semi-automatic motorbikes that I would drive had a lifting seat and a nice storage compartment inside where you'd stuff your poncho, you'd stuff your raincoat, whatever it was, you had to be ready. But sometimes that meant you'd get home, you're like, oh, I'm soaking wet, you hang it up to dry, and then you leave the next day and there it's left at home. But never worry. Vietnam is always prepared. It's a country with what I call instant gratification, because you can pull your motorbike up to any curb and you can be given food, drink, a wrench, a mattress, anything. You just literally pull up to the curb and people are there ready for you. And it was really something when it would start to rain. Because first of all, everyone had their poncho stuffed in their seat, and you would just see this sea of people exiting to the side of the road. Just a whole wall of them pulling over, taking out their ponchos, putting them on, putting their helmets back on, and getting back on the road. It was just this like beautiful orchestrated dance of motorbikes. But then there's the day that you're like, mine's hanging up at home. Crap. So Vietnam's prepared. Instant gratification. You can pull up to a curb and undoubtedly someone has wheeled out, like instantly, as soon as the first raindrop falls out of the sky, they just know. And they wheel out this cart that is covered in just little plastic envelopes of ponchos. I mean, they sell them for like 10, 20,000 dong there, which is like, I don't know, 50 cents. Probably less, to be honest. I can't remember. It's been 5 years. But they're really stupid cheap. So if you forgot one, it was no worry. You could just instantly drive up, grab one, really cheap, shove that one as the spare in your motorbike and be good with it. But never, just like here, weather changes on a dime, right? Same thing in Vietnam. You get like 4 drops, like, oh man, rain's coming. You stop, put on your poncho, start driving away, and then no rain. And you are just driving along a gross, sweaty mess in your poncho because you're like, fuck this, I'm not stopping again. I already stopped once, I'm not doing it again. And it would just be this bakingness inside of your plastic sheet. But that's life there. It was a good time, for sure.